we passed by a lake, the captain decided we set up camp here and rest. He even held a special ritual. After tying up my horse, I wandered down to the water's edge alone. That's when I spotted something glowing beneath the surface. I looked around to make sure no one was watching and quickly scooped it up. It was a piece of gold. After confirming the coast was clear, I slipped it into my pocket. What I didn't know was that this move had awakened something in the lake, a siren. She slowly rose from the water, dripping in gold ornaments, and began dancing across the surface. Screams erupted all around me as my companions were drawn toward her against their will. As her dance quickened, the knights turned on each other, then went mad and charged into the lake. Before long, every last one of them had drowned. I was the only one left. When the siren noticed me, she let out a piercing shriek. But no matter how much she screamed, I didn't react. She looked completely baffled, probably wondering if her powers had stopped working. Panicked, she dove back under the water. What she didn't realize was that I was deaf. I couldn't hear a thing. It wasn't long before curiosity got the better of her. She poked her head above the water to watch. Even though I couldn't hear her, I knew she was responsible for killing my companions. I drew my sword and stood ready. Fear of the unknown got the best of me, and I bolted. I jumped on my horse in a panic and took off at full speed. But I was riding too fast and slammed straight into a tree trunk, knocking myself out cold. When I came to, I found my horse trapped between the trees. Survival came first, so I grabbed what valuables I could and left. I made my way to a quiet riverbank that seemed safe enough, and exhausted, I fell asleep. That night, while I slept, the siren surfaced again. She moved toward me with an eerie, swaying gait, but she didn't hurt. Instead, she just lay down next to me out of curiosity. Being deaf, I had no idea she was there. The next morning, I woke up feeling weight on me. I turned and saw the siren lying beside me, covered in jewels, her face hauntingly beautiful. We both shot up in shock. The siren, who was used to enchanting people, actually looked shy. She bolted, and I lunged to grab her, but got cut in the process. When I looked closer, I realized the cuts were from pieces of gold. Watching her swim away, a twisted smile crept across my face. I took off after, no longer caring that she was a siren. She noticed I was slow, so she swam leisurely, waiting. Eventually, she stopped in front of a waterfall. Seeing this, I risked my life, climbing up a tree trunk and onto a massive boulder. I didn't care about the valuables anymore. I pulled the sword from my back but stuck it in the ground beside me. Watching her dance, I couldn't wait any longer and dove into the water. We moved closer beneath the waterfall, and then she willingly came into my arms. But I took advantage of the moment and started yanking the gold off her body. Once I confirmed she was covered in treasure, I slammed her head against the rocks by the waterfall. Then I began tearing the gold and jewels from her body like a wild animal, ripping at her until I'd stripped every last piece. Without a second thought, I shoved her body over the waterfall. She drifted downstream back to the lake. That's when something strange happened. Blood began pouring out, quickly staining the entire body of water red. Thirsty, I drank from the river. Suddenly, my hearing came back. The flood of sound was overwhelming. I screamed in pain and ran through the forest from dawn until nightfall. Eventually, I got used to my new ability and felt ecstatic. I gained wealth and cured my deafness at the same time. It was like hitting the jackpot. But then the siren rose from the blood-red water, reborn. Looking at her battered body, she finally understood. She let out a cry of despair. Hearing it, I turned and looked back. Our eyes met once more. This time, she danced a dance of sorrow, and I found myself helplessly running toward the lake. As her agonizing wails echoed around me, I slowly sank to the bottom, drowning just like all the others.